This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Coming from the 606 Media Studios, this is the TCSF podcast with Big Z in the house. We got E-Rock, we got JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got Stevie B from the No Water on the Weekend podcast, and I believe Ivan from the Tape Never Lies will join us a little bit later. But episode 213, Talent versus Technique, is brought to you by 606 Media, true Chicago sports fans, and a great clothing company. Don't forget to go to greatclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Go and get your official shirts now. If you're watching on the Facebook, YouTube, or the X, hit that subscribe button.
Smash and subscribe. There
you go. And if you're on your favorite podcast app, remember to give us a 5-star review and leave some kind words. It'll shoot us up on the charts, and we need those kind words all the time. You can also support the show with a monthly subscription at anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. Go over there and click on the support button and subscribe for as little as 99 cents a month. And if you haven't checked out the rest of the 606 family, we got No Water on the Weekend, we got Local Sports Tonight with Ivan Vargas, and we got In Pod Together with Big Z. You can find us all over social media and on the 606media.com. Yes, it is live, 606media.com website to catch your latest episodes. Without further delay, episode 213, Talent versus Technique. And this week, we're going to talk about the Bears. Coming up short in Indy, the Cubs finally eliminated from playoff contention after long debate over this entire summer. The White Sox make history again and probably will break history tomorrow. And we'll close it out with what you're watching that isn't sports. So let's get into our first segment, which is 3 and Out. Boom, boom, shaky, boom, boom. Boys, it was another loss for the Bears over in Indianapolis. And while we have many opportunities to win the game, the Bears showed us that we are still missing some keys to victory. So, JC, we'll start off with you. What was the impression of last week's game?
There is a very viral photo going around the internet right now of 4 Bears offensive linemen laying on the ground at the goal line while, just laying on the ground. That pretty much sums up, the whole past 3 games. I mean, we are having serious offensive line issues, and it's not getting much better. As of right now, it is what it is. These coaches need to coach up the offensive line. They need to figure out a scheme. I think the second half, Waldron finally got onto something in the short passing game, the dink and dunk, the Patriots, Tom Brady, in his later years of just 3 yards, 4 yards, keep moving it down the field. But as of right now, our run game is not looking good. Our offensive line is not looking good.
You rock.
So that image that you're talking about, right? That's every single player on the ground for the offensive line except for Matt Pryor, who was just brought up to fill in for our favorite lazy ass on that line, right? And here's the worst part about that image that's very viral is that it's when they hand it off to DeAndre Swift and he's trying to get that touchdown in the fourth down play. That is the worst part about it. The line is so awful. I mean, it's like lining up turnstiles at the United Center. You might as well just hit. Hey, you don't just get to hit go. You get to collect $200. You can collect whatever is left in the parking, in the free parking and Monopoly, anything. Just go on through, grab a boardwalk, whatever you want. They're just running through that line. I don't even want to say Swiss cheese because that almost gives props to the Packers. But I mean, it's a sieve. It's awful. And we talk about DeAndre Swift. He can't go anywhere because they just can't find a way to motion him or to get him somewhere where he's going to be able to get around that line and get any type of viable yardage.
He is more of a finesse runner, and he had the luxury of being behind the Philadelphia's offensive line, and that's a huge difference from going to that to something like where there is no push on our offensive line. There is tons of holes. There's literally at the snap, everyone's either knocked out on the floor or taking a nap. Literally, it looked like this week's boxing. If you watch this week's boxing, there was a lot of knockouts where guys were asleep. It is bad because he is not a downhill runner. He's a finesse runner. So why are we not using Roshan Johnson, who is a bruiser, who likes to go up the middle, who likes to take on the contact? That's who we should be using as our number one, and DeAndre Swift as your, change of pace along with Khalil Herbert. That's what they should be doing, but they are not doing. I think they average 50 yards, 59 yards in running backs. Yeah, 59 yards with 25 rushes.
Right now, DeAndre Swift, 37 carries for 68 yards with an average of 1.8 yards in 3 games. Roshan Johnson, which he was inactive week 1, if you remember. So I think he is coming back from something and they're easing him in. He has 8 carries for 30 yards with an average of 3.8. So in 2 games with 8 carries, he has just slightly under half of the yards of DeAndre Swift. Roshan, 8 carries again, 30 yards. DeAndre Swift, 37 carries, 68 yards. That's abysmal.
Yeah, Swift yesterday with 13 carries for 20 yards, 1.5 average. Roshan Johnson, like you said, 8 carries, 30 yards, right? Almost half, and you get double. Like, make that make sense. 3.8 yards a carry. Make it make sense. Why is it that they're taking it? It feels like for the last 3 games to start this season, they're waiting until the second half to figure things out.
Sounds like the Cubs.
Yeah, nice.
Baseball's over.
Except they didn't figure things out, did they, Jose?
Not at all. Welcome to the show, Ivan the Bear. Bearable from the you always crack me up with your nickname. Ivan, I like the new setup. Nice and festive there where a bunch of bears.
Nice and bearable. Yeah,
it's bearable. It's very bearable.
There you go. I appreciate it.
Give us your impression of last week's game.
Shit show.
Someone
Yeah, it sounded like somebody. Steven, are you sitting on the soft
No,
seat?
I'm actually right here. Thank you very much.
All right. No, it was abysmal. You're looking at an offensive line that I feel like is not being coached up properly. Chris Morgan, he's been here quite some time now. Name an offensive lineman that has developed and really taken a next step in their career. Tevin Jenkins, no. Braxton Jones, if you've seen him getting blown back time and time again every single week into the quarterback. So there needs to be some accountability with the organization when it comes to firing coaches that aren't doing their job. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's my first go-to get the hell out of town firing. The second one would be Shane Waldron, and Shane Waldron he's on thinner. I would say Chris Morgan's already. I would have fired him yesterday, but Shane Waldron, him being the new OC, he kind of has a little more pull. But these play calls that you're on the goal and you're calling fucking speed option. When you could just Roshan Johnson, you could put an offensive tackle, a defensive tackle. Somebody could be a fullback. You just need a big motherfucker to go forward and block for you and get the 1 yard. I think it was gutless. I think Shane Waldron is in over his head. The biggest question for him was the running game, was whether he would be able to adjust and run the football. And the answer so far is a resounding no. You looked at what he did in Seattle. A lot of passing, Geno Smith, everybody talks about him resurrecting. A lot of passing, never really established a run. They had Kenneth Oh my God, from Michigan State.
Kenneth Walker the third.
Thank you, Kenneth Walker the third. Thank you, JC. Kenneth Walker the third, beast. They couldn't find a way to use him. Couldn't get him on the fucking field. And you've seen what happened in the first two games. Travis Homer, Everett. Spare me that shit. I don't need you to give your boys some playing time. I need you to use the fucking players that we have on the roster, the top guys that we put in the depth chart for you to go ahead and make the plays happen. I don't see this guy lasting more than half the season if he continues like this. I really don't. It'll be the first in-season firing for the Chicago Bears if they really are about fucking winning and turning the page on things. This needs to be fixed quickly.
You know, the funny thing is you talk about Waldron, and that I was in my garage by myself, standing up screaming at things like you're cooking, and now you got 3rd and 4. And what do? Let's chuck it down the field instead of getting a slant, getting Cole Gomet involved, getting something easy, getting something on a sideline, just getting past the first down marker and just getting an easy throw. Start to build your confidence for your rookie. I know he says he's got all the confidence in the world. I know he says that he doesn't get nervous before games, but you still have to put him in an easy position to build that confidence as the game goes along, because you know, we all know the first half is typically an experiment. You got your first 15 and then you're just trying to figure shit out. Mm-hmm. So you don't, and then, you know, when you come back in the second half, that's when you execute, right? That's where you always see how much better the defense plays in the second half. The first play of the second half of this game was an interception. Okay. And you wasted it. You absolutely wasted it. So the questionable calls, the not understanding how to block for your runner. I know you got to carry a blasting game out for right now. Your fullback, one of the only teams left in the NFL actually uses a fullback. But the way that their blocking scheme, DeAndre Carter against a giant of a man trying to think that he's going to be able to block anybody, right? This is something that's happened already. They did it last year, the small on the big, and they said, we got to fix that. Eberflus, it's execution. At some point, you got to start executing these coaches that don't know how to coach.
Yeah, it's the truth. And I think he's what I could see Shane Waldron doing. Why am I like blasted? Like, I feel like I'm
echoing.
Like
yeah, you're echoing.
I don't know why that's happening. But anyway, I feel like Shane Waldron is trying to be the greatest show on turf. He's really trying to every play or every big situation seems to, for him, he wants to go to a big play. When it's just like, yo, you don't need, like, you need to draw up something that keeps, you know, I would be fine with guys running curls if you need a 4 or 5 yards. I just need you to draw up something that's not going to put Caleb in a situation with this offensive line that gets him hurt or has him throwing passes that he probably shouldn't be throwing. It's neglectful. 52 fucking passes for your rookie is not great, man. That's not a great game plan. It's not. And you saw him struggle. You saw some success, but again, he's still a rookie quarterback no matter how many passing yards he threw for. I think Shane Waldron needs to look in the fucking mirror, and the Bears need to really look at themselves and say, are we going to continue putting up with this, and for how long? Because real quickly you'll lose the fan base. You'll have people coming, you know, for your throats. It'll be very, very bad very quickly if you don't change something.
So what is the answer to this offensive line? Because they can't block, you know, which means they're standing up and they're kind of moving backwards a little bit, right? When in our case, a lot, and they can't push forward. So what's the answer? If we're short, we're missing the players left and right on the offensive line. There's not a Pro Bowler on there. You know, we have one guy that we drafted a couple years from a different regime that's on there, and he's doing okay. He's had a couple of bad games, but if the rest of the offensive line is butter, you really can't blame him. He can't do everything. So what is the answer to this offensive line? Because they can't run the ball against a team that gave up 250 yards a game. They couldn't do that. And you're going into LA coming into us, and they have the same problem. They're like 30th in the NFL in running defense. And if we can't run the ball and establish that, what do we do with this offensive line?
They could if they ran Roshan.
Oh, I agree. But is he still nagging an injury? We don't know that.
JC, I want to give it to you, but before I do that, I want to point out this. So at the Super Bowl, I think it was, and I was listening to ESPN today, so you guys might have heard this already, but I forgot, I think it was one of the guys from CHGO was talking to Jackson Smith and Jigba about what the Bears should be getting in Shane Waldron. Okay. And at the time, we were all, or at least they were under the impression that the Bears were going to stick with Fields. And when they asked him the question, he kind of hemmed and hawed, and he goes, then he looked around, he goes, is this live? Because he didn't want to say something so disparaging against the guy who was his offensive coordinator when he was a rookie in the league. And he just kind of fumbled around, and he's like, oh, he's such a great person and this and that. And he really had no nice football things to say about him. This was a rookie at the time. This should tell you everything you need to know about Shane Waldron. He seems to be in over his head. And if he would just sit there and just make it easy on himself, he would make it easy on the line. He would make it easy on Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams had a couple of great plays yesterday, but he had to be great to make those plays. Yeah. He shouldn't. I love the fact that he is, but he shouldn't have to be just amazing to make plays. Give him something easy to do, and then make those great plays even easier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with what you guys are saying. I'm also impressed because I don't remember a last quarterback for the Bears to throw that many yards in a game. I'm impressed by that, how he was able to, be that star, that stud. Again, 56 passes, that's a lot. I mean, his arm's got to be sore today for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you can't run the ball and you can't get through, you're going to have to pass it because that's what else are you going to do? He's always in the pocket. He'll scramble out, but when he does scramble out, he gets sacked. And that, again, goes to the offensive line problem. So, I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes. I know it sometimes takes between 4 to 6 weeks for the offensive line to click, but we don't have time to wait for that. And, I don't know what else to do. I mean, maybe, again, Herbert, use him in the goal line situation. Swift, I don't know what to do with that, but that's my point of view on that one.
Yeah, so I'm going to get into this. Let's start the conversation with, we spent $23 or $24 million on a home run hitting running back that does not have an offensive line that can create a hole for him to hit a home run. To me, DeAndre Swift was Ryan Poles' bright eyes, thinking he had solved his offensive line issues with patchworks and 6th-round picks that he traded. And the fact of the matter is, again, he thinks, maybe it's because he's an offensive lineman, he thinks he's a genius, that he can put a patchwork line together with scrubs and 4th and 5th round picks, with Braxton Jones being a 5th round pick, with, Tevin Jenkins having lower back issues every other day. Nate Davis won't even practice. Bates is on IR. Ooh, you traded for him. Great. Where's he at? Nowhere. So I don't want to put all of it on Waldron yet as an offensive coordinator, because this is squarely on Poles. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and what do? Trenches, trenches, trenches. They consistently throw draft picks at their trenches. Great, we traded for Keenan Allen. I'm glad we did. That's $22 million on the salary cap for us. You paid DeAndre Swift $23 million for 3 years. You paid, I forget who else this offseason, but there were centers out there on the free agent market. We talked and discussed about this in the group chat. We had Cushenberry out there. He signed a 5-year, $57 million deal, which by the time you put that out there on a yearly salary, that's like $10 million a year. Cheap. You're paying Swift $8 million. So you're telling me having one of the best centers from free agency when you have trench issues, No, let's go sign a home run hitting running back that has a history in Detroit of not being a tough yardage runner, and that's why they got rid of him. That he only looked good in Philadelphia. Oh, wait, because they have the best offensive line in the NFL with Jason Kelsey and the rest of those guys just mauling people. They're the reason that the tush push works because they have the best offensive line. He got 1,000 yards behind the best offensive line in the NFL. 1,000 yards. You're telling me that he couldn't get 1,500? Saquon Barkley probably would have. Derrick Henry probably could have. There's many running backs that behind the best offensive line in the NFL could have got 1,500 yards. He got 1,000. And we paid him $8 million a year when the money would have been much better spent at a different position.
You look at, guys like Derrick Henry, who was going behind a, porous offensive line in Tennessee and still putting up big numbers with a horrible quarterback. Can you imagine if we did have Derrick Henry, who can also pass block? I know he's a little bit past his prime, but he's a Band-Aid to moving on forward.
But to me, like I said, I know Roshan. I'm guessing he is coming off an injury, which is why they're slowly working him in. But to me, over the next 2 games, I'm looking at Roshan going, "Hey, bud, step up, and this job is yours." Because to me, Herbert ain't showing it. Homer ain't showing it. Swift definitely ain't showing it. So to me, I'm going to go with the hot hand. I don't care what you're getting paid. And DeAndre Swift, I got to look at your contract situation and see what the outs are. But I don't know if I'm going to be paying you the next 2 years. Might have been a 2-year deal. I'll let somebody else talk, and I'll look up his contract here right now.
I would just say, I agree. Like, it should be, you should give Roshan a shot. I do think that they haven't given Herbert enough playing time. I don't know why fucking Homer was even involved. He was a 4th string running back, special teams guy. But like I said, you bring in, this guy Waldron, who has familiarity with certain players, might have a connection with the guy, and they might be boys. He's going to go ahead and put him in. And then I think it's a misuse of Khalil Herbert. There's a definite misuse of Khalil Herbert because I think he shouldn't be in on 3rd down passing situations. I'll say that, but he should definitely be getting ticks, touching the football, being able to run between the tackles. Because I think he has that speed dynamic that Roshan doesn't have. Roshan has the power. He's able to run through tackles, but he's not able to scoot away from guys. So I would say just try to give Khalil Herbert some more playing time instead of giving guys like Travis Homer the opportunities.
All right. So after looking it up, we have Swift this year and next year for sure. Because this year dead cap 14 million, next year dead cap 8.7, 2026 we can cut him and owe him 1.3. So I would definitely see him as a cap casualty for 2026.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely.
Yeah, Roshan had a toe injury. He was out. He didn't play in the last 3 games of the preseason, and then he didn't play in game 1 because he was still technically they said he was a healthy scratch, but he only played in the 2nd game on special teams.
What do you have? Turf toe, whatever that is, or did he have a heel issue?
Yeah, it's whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had his toe.
Looking
at
was
Allen, and the concerning that it's possible that he might end up with plantar fasciitis, which, if anyone watched Joakim Noah play for the Bulls when he went through that, I mean, that might be game over for him for most of the season. But I told you guys before, I says Keenan Allen, it averages like 10 games a season. And now you got 17 games and not 16, so it might be less. That's how he operates.
Yeah.
I don't know about they're saying it's plantar fasciitis now.
Yep.
Because I know
that's what they're talking about.
Okay, because I know there was like a pass in the end zone where he came up limping, so I thought it was more of a calf strain. But That's news that it's plantar fasciitis. I've had it. I've had it for 2 to 3 years, and let me tell you, it is not fun. You can work yourself into walking and doing your daily activities, but when you get off your feet and you sleep at night and you first wake up in the morning, your feet, it's like walking on nails. In the
it's
morning.
like stinging.
So
Yeah, I've had it after the marathon.
It is not a fun thing to have. They'll usually do cortisone shots, which, you know, to me that is problematic because all you're doing is masking the pain, and all you're doing is creating more injury. And then the second option is surgery, where they literally just cut it and, you know, relieve the pain that way by basically cutting the plantar fasciitis tendon. So that's option 2, which if he does that, he's definitely out for the season.
Yikes.
So I did a quick look up of
Go ahead.
free agent centers who are going to be a free agent next year. And the big one I'm looking at right now, they rank him number 10. Drew Dalman, who's the center currently for the Falcons. He had a 82.3 Pro Football Focus player grade in 2023, and his run blocking was a 90.0 grade for run blocking, which was the second best among centers who played at least 50% of their team snap in 2023, which is a little odd because you figure that Bijan Robinson would have had a little bit better year last year, but that might be someone they're going to have to just throw a boatload of money at and show up at his door like they did with Khalil Mack when they brought him over.
Well, we have more issues than that because Tevin Jenkins is up. Nate Davis has to get cut. You have Darnell Wright, which, you know, he's going to be there for at least another year, 2 years, because he's a rookie. So he's in year 2 now. So yeah, that leaves 2 more years with a possible 3rd year with the rookie 50-year option. And then you're also looking at Braxton Jones is due up. So we're looking at left tackle, center, left guard, right guard. So I mean, you're talking about replacing 4 of your starting 5.
You might as well start with a center if there's a good one out there.
I mean, you got
to start somewhere, but yeah, I don't know where you start. This is going to be a mess.
You start by drafting offensive line straight up. I mean, heavy offensive line in the draft. And I know we talk about free agency. It's good to add there too. But if you're really serious, if they're really serious about this, you would be drafting heavy offensive line, just like the fucking Chiefs did right after they got their asses kicked by Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that, you know, a bunch of rookies are going to do the job. Or how the Dallas
Cowboys do.
Right. But I'm not saying a bunch of rookies are going to do the job, and I'm not saying they're going to be them, but that's the start. That's where you bring in youth, talent, and start establishing a line that's going to be together for a long time instead of a bunch of guys that got to get to know each other, got to get to know the scheme. It's just go and do that. Draft fucking offensive linemen this year.
This kid is only 25 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I do agree. If you are going to pay for a free agent, pay for a center that's been in the league for a little while that can help Caleb make the right calls, get in the right protections, help the guy to his left and to his right know what their jobs are, especially if they're coming in as rookies. I would say, yeah, like I would love to have a veteran center. You know, I mean, look at Jason Kelsey. Like I said, one of the best centers out there. He helped tremendously with the Philadelphia Eagles, getting them in the right calls and protections when Hurts was young and learning. So, like I said, to me, that is always a help. I will always take a veteran center.
I want to transition over to some of the positive notes of the game. You know, Caleb Williams did throw for a lot of yards, had 2 touchdowns. He had his first touchdown that went to Rome Odunze, who also had a coming out game with 6 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. And then there was a funny moment between them two of who's keeping the football.
Right. Yeah, that was nice.
Very comical. Because he ended up throwing another touchdown, but still, your first touchdown for both of them. And he did mention back when he was interviewed a couple weeks ago who he wanted his first touchdown to go to, and he said Adunze. So,
he
go ahead.
He also said that when they talked about if Rome Odunze was his first touchdown, who would get the ball? He goes, "I'll give it to Rome." He did mention that like a few weeks ago.
There you go. I mean,
and I believe our predictions for last week, I had said he was going to get a touchdown to Cole Kmet. So, when you're right, you're right. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that they did throw a lot more to Cole Kmet. He did get rocked one of those plays. He got literally
I think it was in the third quarter. Something like that.
It was the fourth. The strip sack.
Yeah, I do really like that they're using him more, and I think that gives is going to give Williams way more confidence if he's able to use his tight end as a safety valve, especially with no time on the offensive line. I remember with Romo with the Dallas Cowboys always throwing it to his two tight ends.
Witten.
Jason Witten.
Yeah, Jason Witten. It's just that's what you do. Good quarterbacks always use their tight ends as their safety valve. No one's open. It's already 3 seconds. Got to get rid of the ball, tight end, or throw it away. And I know we have a superstar in Williams that can make things happen, but you can't expect him to be Superman on every single play when the offensive line cannot protect. So, and any other highlights, any good notes that we see from the Chicago Bears boys?
Progression with Caleb Williams. There were throws that he wasn't connecting on. I mean, there's still throws that he's not connecting on, but it was a lot cleaner. He showed a lot more confidence. Hell, 52 times for a rookie. It is a lot of fucking passes, man. And for him to, I would say, yeah, he threw 2 interceptions, but I would really count 1.
Right.
Rome, you got to make that catch. This is the second time. And I'll really, a side note, Rome, this is the second time the ball's hit your hands and you haven't been able to catch it. Once in the end zone and, right there that led to an interception. So Rome's got to step up too. But as far as Caleb is concerned, he's the last. He's the last concern for me. He's the last fucking concern for me because I think we have our quarterback. We just need to have him develop and protect him so he can do so.
See, I think this whole passing thing is for him to get more reps and more experience. I think that's what they're doing because he didn't really do that in the offseason. But I don't that's the only thing I could think of why they're one of the reasons why they're always throwing. But for him to see more, I guess. But even still, like throwing that much, it's impressive. It's nice, but also it's also like, there's other things you could do. But yes.
But to that point, you had all of a preseason. You could have played Caleb with this offensive line that's makeshift during preseason to get all the kinks out, to get the repetitions. They could have done that. And I know everyone protects the quarterback during the preseason. I understand why. But the kid needed reps. If you're throwing a rookie out there, the kid needs more reps than anything, especially with not knowing who the tight end was going to be. We had no idea until the week of our first opening game. So all through preseason, we had no idea who was going to be the starting center. And that's an issue.
I'm not mad about them not playing in preseason because here's the thing is that before he was even drafted, Ryan Poles knew he was going to pick him. So he had, literally on their first meeting, he had the playbook. He knew everything months in advance, right? So he kind of, and then he even went out, like Keenan Allen came out to his pro day. Like he had established a relationship with some of the veteran guys. He came into town. He went out to dinner with some of the team captains, with DJ Moore, with Cole Kmet. He was out there. So he at least established a relationship. And I think a lot of the things that they worked out were worked out in practice. And here's the thing. You're going against one of the best defenses in the league. And you remember early on, like they were whooping his ass. And then you say, oh, Jalen Johnson, oh man, look at that one. Of course, they're not trying to barrel down on him and, stuff like that, but they're still playing defense out there. So I'm not super upset that they didn't play him a ton in preseason, but at the end of the day, like I said, if you don't set this kid up for success and just some of the easy stuff that's going to ease you into it, you know what I mean? Like you can't say, hey, architect, build this giant building, tomorrow. It's like, well, can I start with this house? Let me start with a dog house or a bird house, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You got to start at the beginning. And that's the problem is, and you're talking about running the ball. That's Shane Waldron's MO. He does not run the ball. He doesn't, I guess he doesn't know how to scheme for it or what, but he don't know how to run the ball. That's what it is. 363 yards. He has thrown for more yards in any game through the NFL this so far in 3 games.
Mhm.
No other quarterback has thrown for that many yards. Okay, that's hell of impressive. And that includes the Hail Mary that went down. And guess what? It counts. It counts. The long bomb in the beginning of the touchdown, counts, right? So, you look overall, Roshan, you got to pound him. Seeing Cole Kmet get involved was amazing. I was so happy to finally see him. They need to use him more. It feels like they started to use him way too late in the game. Roma Dunze with 6 receptions, 112 yards, 18.7 average. I mean, you're using your young stud that's going to be, Caleb Williams' best friend, for the next 5 to 10 years, hopefully, right? That's what we're hoping for. But yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the progression, one of the things that I put in the group chat was like, Caleb Williams has had more progression in three games than Justin Fields had in 3 years. No, don't get me wrong. I know Justin's doing well in Pittsburgh. I'm super happy for him. You know that I like the Steelers, but he's in where he needs to be. And right now we have who we need to have under center. We just need to put up a brick wall so he can get out there and do his thing.
No, you said it right. Like, I'm tired of hearing the comparison of Justin Fields and Caleb already. Like, Justin Fields is dead to me. Let him do his own thing. All the best luck for him. But it's just like, I'm not worried about what he's doing. It's like when you get a girlfriend, you guys break up and you're still worried about what she's doing when you got a new girl right next to you. It's like, appreciate what you have right here. Protect it. Love it. And, let it go,
Until Caleb has like a great game and wins, it's always going to be the narrative. Because I want to remind you that if the Bears did not have that number 1 pick, Justin Fields would still be under center. Justin Fields was a victim of circumstance in Chicago. That's a fact.
Yeah, no doubt. Just real quick, you're the only, unless this guy's done something that I haven't seen in Jaden Daniels, Caleb's the only rookie quarterback to throw a touchdown. 2 touchdowns. So like on top of him being able to go ahead and have a game where he puts up, some numbers passing, I've obviously we all like to have the win, but hey man, the spotlight is on him, and everything he does right and everything he does wrong is going to be taking, to the extreme. So for me, I'm just like, let this shit play out. He looks like he's taking, making strides from week 1 to week 3. Let's continue to see it. But this fucking offensive coordinator and these playmaking decisions need to be fixed. And then we can finally see what Caleb Williams is really made of.
Yeah. So for me, like I said earlier in the podcast, I don't want to throw everything on Shane Waldron. Yes, some of the cutesy, whatever, play calling, cut it out. The end arounds, the whatever to DJ Moore through the backfield. We're not LA Rams where we constantly run Cooper Kupp through the backfield like 10 times on a drive. All right. When you see DJ Moore walking through the backfield, just assume that he's going to get the ball, because we don't do that like the Rams do constantly, and that's not the play. All right. When we run something like that, and that's what gets me with the Bears is, the play calling is so generic. It's so lackluster that it's like, okay, everybody knows what we're doing, what we're going to run. If this guy goes through the backfield, it's going to him. Like, and they jump it, they do everything. But that being said, I think Waldron came out in the second half with a much better game plan, with a, hey, you know what? Oh my God, the offensive line isn't holding up. Let's stop trying to throw the ball 30 yards downfield where Caleb is still overthrowing guys by 10 yards, pretty consistently on some of these deep passes. his timing, his touch on these deep passes are just not there. But if you go look at, I wish I had the photo saved from X where it is showing his completions versus incompletes. I mean, it is a smattering across the board, short over the middle, short outside, short everywhere. And to me, that's the game plan. And that's where Justin Fields, you can compare him all you want. Justin could not pass over the middle of the field to save my life, your life, his mom's life, his sister's life, anybody.
And he still can't, JC. He
No.
still can't.
No, because he had a fantastic throw over the middle for a touchdown yesterday. Okay,
It was deep. It was deep. Though.
One throw.
Yeah, thunder strikes twice.
What I'm just saying, listen, give him credit where credit is due because he has been playing much better with the Steelers. But I will say this: most quarterbacks, there are very few quarterbacks who throw a deep ball that is accurate every time. When you see when he's dropping them in there, it is a thing of beauty. But again,
but my point is the offensive line is not giving him enough time.
He's figuring it out. It's 3 games.
But my point is the offensive line is not giving him enough time. It is making him rush and put more touch or more, it's not giving him the time to really drop it in there, if you will. Like he's rushing it, he's overthrowing it. His judgment's off because he's worried about getting creamed. So to me, like I said, hey, call up Tom Brady's former play caller, get him in here as the offensive coordinator, and let's dink and dunk all the way down the field because that's what our offensive line is allowing. That 2.5 second per pass, that's because the offensive line is trash. Well, that's not because, Caleb, it's a necessity by trash O-line that he needs to pass in that time frame. So
they need to do that either way. Like I said, give him easy throws and you know what I mean? Give him something. Like I said, you build the confidence with the little bullshit 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 yard passes just to keep it going, and not only that, but you'll give your defense a rest.
Yeah, definitely needed.
But you could tell at the end of that drive that they gave the last touchdown to that they're gassed.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing. Hopefully Keenan Allen coming back soon. I mean, Keenan Allen is a great separator. So, I mean, missing him in that aspect, that guy finds a way to get open in small spaces. Even though he's not the fastest guy. I mean, you got Roma Dunze, who is a big dude. DJ Moore is not a small dude. Short passes allow these guys to box out these shorter corners, and play and bully ball. You know what I mean? Like I was watching the Atlanta game last night, and that's the one thing they talked about in the broadcast was at the end of the game, they were throwing to Drake London, who's like 6'3", 6'4", and he's basically boxing dudes out. Like they can't break the pass up because his arms are longer, he's bigger, like they're trying to reach around him, but they just can't, bat the ball away because he's a bigger wide receiver. We have those same type of wide receivers. So like I said, we got to do something with these
Israel's always good for a good laugh.
Darnell Mooney had a good game yesterday, but he is still working it out with Kirk Cousins. I can tell you that.
Look, when you talk about Keenan Allen, I will agree that they need him because you need him to stretch the field because then you can have DJ Moore coming across the middle where he's not getting creamed because he got nailed yesterday. They had to pull him out on that touchdown drive. And look, the way that the Bears were playing towards the end of the game, they had the defense gassed because you remember the dude from the Colts literally came across just to give his boys a chance to breathe. You said, "Oh, hey, okay, hey," you know what I mean? Like he was breathing like he was wearing a ventilator during COVID.
Oh man, good one. Let's look forward to the next opponent, which is the LA Rams coming into Soldier Field. They are 1-2. They lost to the Lions for the Lions home opener, 20-26. Then they got shellacked by the Cardinals, who look like the real deal, 41-10 with Mighty Mouse over there, and then lost a close one. Or actually won the close one against the 49ers.
Yesterday they had a very impressive game because they were down. They're getting the ass kicked. And Matt Stafford and the Rams came through. I mean, you can't underestimate that team. Matt Stafford, from his days with the Lions, I think he's always juiced up, especially coming to Soldier Field. He doesn't come here that often anymore. But the thing that you got to remember is that they're not going to have Cooper Kupp and they're not going to have Puka Nakula, or whatever his name is. So they're going to
have Bucks over there.
You're going to have to lean on their running game. Kyron Williams out there. They got Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson. Tutu Atwell had a great game yesterday. And so, yeah, they're going to be relying on a lot of the RPO because they're going to sit there and they're going to have to get it off to their running backs and things like that. So, but don't underestimate the Rams because they were, like I said, they were getting their ass kicked. And granted, I know that the Niners have a lot of skill position players out too, and they really rely on Juwan Johnson. But you cannot count out them Rams. That's going to be a tricky game. I feel like if the Bears are going to win that game, the defense really needs at least 2 takeaways.
The key to the Bears beating the Rams is they need to shut down the Rams running game. If they can shut down the Rams running game and keep them under, say, 60 yards rushing total, as their team, then the Bears have a shot. Without Kupp and Puka, the Rams, they really don't have. I mean, Matt Stafford will get it done. He finds a way passing. But I'm telling you right now, the Rams, you look at some of the games they play, if they cannot run the ball, they will not win the game. So that is the key to this, is we need to shut down their run game. If we can do that, we have a shot.
Ivan?
Yeah, no, I agree with JC. I don't see the Bears offense, right? I don't see the Bears offense being able to hold up their end of the bargain again. I do see, more progression with Caleb come this week, but until I could see a consistent week by week, offensive game plan, I don't think I could pick the Bears anymore to win. So it's hard for me to think that the Bears are going to drop another one, but the way that they've been playing, they're making it very easy. They're making it easier than it is. But I'll say the Bears lose this one. I don't think it's going to be on the defense again. The defense, to be honest with you, there's going to be a time where fatigue sets in, where not only physically but mentally, like you're doing your job, you're holding up your end of the bargain, game in, game out. How many turnovers we had? Two turnovers, should have been 3. Last game, they won a game 4-4. Yeah. So they won a game on their own in week 1. If the offense doesn't begin to own up to its end, there's going to be some unease within the locker room on that defense, especially because they're kicking ass, and I don't care how tight they might be. There's going to come a time that a move needs to be made. And like I said, if it doesn't fix itself soon, it'll be sooner rather than later.
I think the Bears can win this game if they get smart and, like I said, make it easy on Caleb. The Rams gave up 3 sacks last game. They were 5 for 12 on 3rd down. They did convert 2 4th downs, and they had 19 first downs. So, I mean, it was kind of – and here's the thing, too, is they only had 98 rushing yards, and San Fran had 198 passing yards. So you can stifle them, like I said, because they're missing so many skilled positions. You can't stifle them, but you just got to be smart. You have to find a way. Number one, we got to get Roshan involved. We got to run it up the middle, tire them out, beat them down, and then take advantage when they start to draw up and get those, like I said, get it to Cole Kmet, get it to DJ Moore across the middle, roam on the sidelines. But I'm not talking about 40-yard passes. I'm talking about easy shit. 8 yards. Boom. First down. Run the ball. Whatever you got to do. But dink and dump, whatever you have to do to give your defense plenty of time to rest and make it easy on Caleb. I think they can win this game. Now, can I pick them? I picked them in a low scoring game against the Colts. I think I had it 16-13. I thought they'd be able to grind it out. They didn't quite get there. They didn't quite hold it the way they should have. I think I got this game 21-17 Rams.
21-17 Rams. Stevie B, what's your score? What's your prediction?
Oh, I'm gonna go 27-20, or 27-14 Rams.
JC,
Did they give it that much up?
I'm gonna go. Let me go. 24-16.
Rams.
With the Rams, yeah. Like I said, Matt Stafford, he's always good for one interception a game. He's my fantasy quarterback. He throws interceptions pretty regularly now. And like I said, without Puka, without Cooper Kupp, without Tyler Higbee, I mean, they are down bad. Like I said, if we can stop their run game, Jalen Johnson will shut down Tutu Atwell. Stevenson will shut down I forget their second wide receiver, I think, is Davidson now or something to that effect, or I forget his name. But
DeMarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell is there.
Yeah, DeMarcus Robinson, I'm sorry. But between those two guys going up against our top corners, I don't see their passing game being prolific against us. So is there a chance that the Bears can pull it off if they play the whole game like they did the second half of the Colts game? I think there's a chance, but I still think the Rams are the better overall roster, the better overall coached team. Like I said, we bring up some of the mistakes that Eberflus made in the way of timeouts and going for 2, going for 1, and wasting a timeout in the process. We talked about he challenged a play in game 2 and trusted a player and then lost that challenge when they should have. So, like I said, Eberflus is making some questionable play calling decisions. So, like I said, I think Sean McVay is a much better coach, unfortunately. So, I got to give it to the Rams.
Well, Ivan, what's your prediction?
What's your score, JC? You said 24-16.
Yeah,
I think it'll be 24-16.
Where the 27 points come from on Stevie.
Yep.
7.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to get tired, like they did in the second half. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but,
All right. I like how E-Rock is writing these down to confirm next week.
I am. You see me looking
Oh,
down.
Did you also write down on what I did last week? I'm just throwing it out there.
Of course not.
Yeah, of course not. No, why would you? That's a lot to ask for.
What was your prediction last week?
That Caleb Williams is going to go throw a touchdown pass to Cole Kmet.
You didn't write down your score either, so shut the fuck up.
I didn't write my score. I said my prediction that he was going to actually throw a touchdown to him. And I remember that, not score.
Okay.
Ivan, what's your prediction score?
23-19 Rams.
23-19. Okay. I'm going 20-16 Rams.
I hope we're all wrong, but yes.
I mean, obviously,
we all want the Bears to win, but
I mean, look, you got to be realistic at a certain point. Like the offense isn't fucking doing much to have, you have confidence in it that it could be consistent every week, unless they're throwing 52 fucking times, apparently. But yeah, it is what it is. I want to be wrong. I would love to be wrong in the Bears win. I'm still gonna fucking root for them.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
We all picked the Bears last week and we were wrong, so this is
Right.
be the first time.
Exactly.
Reverse juju.
Mm-hmm. Please let me say something. Please tell me we're not about to talk about baseball.
It's very briefly.
I actually got to roll because I got to go cut this tape. So
it's all good, Ivan. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you guys.
See you later.
See you guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a short break. We got to pay some bills. We'll be right back with three and
I thought you guys already took a commercial break. I had to run some equipment out to my coworker outside.
Yeah, 3 and out after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15. TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to Nowhere on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
Welcome back to the TCSF podcast with Big Z. We got E-Rock in the house. We got Stevie B from the No Water Weekend and JC Dynasty Fantasy Football. And it is time to talk about our baseball teams and pretty much putting them to rest because the season is going to be over. So let's do the segment and 3 up and 3 down.
I think I'll perplex him with my slow ball.
1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out.
All right, my Cub fans are in the house. All 3 of you are Cub fans, and I think it's time to finally put this team to rest. We know what they spent, what they didn't do. We know the talent that's on this team. We know where the holes are. Now the thing is, will the administration with the Cubs actually address these needs this coming year?
Well, I don't think so. I think we're going to be in the same situation. We're going to run it back again, hype these guys up. I mean, I was there on Saturday and no offense, nothing. And they got 1 home run and it was in the 7th. And it's kind of like, okay, then the 8th and they get 3 more runs. And it's like, I was like, man, I'm going to see Hendricks. I thought I was going to see Imanaga. I got really excited because I saw him on the field, and I was like looking at, any app to see who was starting. But man, it's depressing. Talking to JC about it on Saturday, like we're just done. I'll watch them. I honestly am going to turn off Marquee probably tomorrow. It's sad. It really is sad. And again, next year, I feel like we're going to be in the same situation, maybe 1 or 2 new pitchers, but hitting power, I think that's something that we need to address. Pitching, I mean, there's plenty of things that we need to address here. And this team, I mean, we're just average, a little bit above average. What was it, 80 to, well, now it's 80 and like 70 something, but still, we lost the Phillies right now.
This is
JC, anything?
This is your team.
Oh, you're still muted.
Muted.
Both of you are.
How am I?
There you go. You're good now.
I was going to say, I don't know how I got muted.
The music.
Road podcaster, so I usually mute myself on that, not on.
Gotcha.
Anyway, me and Stevie were talking about this on Saturday, and same. They're going to roll it back because what else are they going to do? I mean, they can't cut payroll, they can't cut players, they can't whatever. So we're stuck with what we got, and I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, we're $220 million in the cap, and you got teams at $100 million making us look like fools. So, we're scoring one run, 2 runs, 3 at most, and it's putrid and pathetic, and I don't see it getting any better because we have average players making $20 to $23 million, when, you know, they're not really performing on the field. Yeah, great. You're seeing P. Crow Armstrong coming alive. You're seeing some of these younger guys getting playing time, increasing their value. But, when you guys got guys like Hap and Suzuki and some of these guys taking up payroll and they're average at best.
Do we know Patrick Wisdom, how much he's getting? But he's a part of that. And
I can look it up.
You're right. And what I'm disappointed in is Jordan Wicks. Like, this guy was supposed to be a stud. He got injured at the beginning of the year, and he just has not looked the same. He goes on the mound, plays the Yankees. I get it, they're the Yankees, but he's supposed to be like, better than average. Like, but still a little disappointed with that guy. But
Wicks was out for most of the season, so
and that's why I give him slack about it. But still, you're jump starting a car when it's freezing outside, kind of thing. So I get it, but I want to see more of him, more playing time, and eventually it's going to happen next season. You're not going to throw him out right now. So,
all right, Israel's chiming in. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead with Israel.
I was going to say, Israel with a good question. Thanks, Israel, for chiming in the entire episode. Thanks for coming on every week. What other players do they have in the farm system that will make it up next year? So I'm looking up at their farm system now. You're looking at Matt Shaw, who's pitched already in majors. Cade Horton's already pitched in the majors. ETA for both of them is 2025. You have Owen Casey in the outfield, which you have a log jam in the outfield, especially if you continue to have Belly becomes back. You got Ballesteros, who's a catcher for his baseman. You got whatever his name is, James Toronto. Second baseman outfield, Kevin Alcantara. Outfield, Cam Smith. He's estimated for 2026. And then after that, they get, it goes really far down. But there's really not a lot that's coming up.
The shitty thing is that Brendan Davis, who was supposed to be that dude, he just cannot stay healthy. He had a leg, and then he's in the back, and it's really, really unfortunate. One thing I will say about the current team, though, I got to give Council some credit for finally showing a little bit of emotion. Right, he came basically bitched out the front office like, "Hey man, this is what we got." Blah blah blah. This is him. This is him adjusting his career to put his batting stance higher and higher and higher. Right, and that's what he needed to do way earlier because he needed to figure it out. I feel like he didn't really go in on them or make a big fuss about it because he was like, "Hey, you brought me in. You had the faith in me. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make this work." You made me the highest paid manager in baseball, which, we mentioned at the very beginning of the season and a couple weeks ago. This couldn't be your big off-season acquisition, right? Aside from what's his name, the pitcher, Shota, right?
Shota, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled to have Imanaga on the team because you need to keep adding pitching, of course. But we watched him stay stagnant all year. We watched him trade Morel, which I was not mad about because his average is awful, right? They're trying to shore up that third, but it just wasn't there. I don't think if you were being realistic with yourself as a Cubs fan at the beginning of the season, you shouldn't have had a lot of expectations. I said that yes, maybe they could sneak into a wild card, but you had to be perfect, right? And they just weren't. They kind of gave up at that point. Dansby coming on hot late in the year. That's a little frustrating because, we're talking about early enough in the year where he's like, relax, it's early. Oh, it's okay. But I think, and both I think JC and Steven pointed out before, there's no fire. There's no anger. You don't see them get upset. It's like you don't see them get frustrated. It's the equivalent of, someone, an NFL player throwing his helmet because he's pissed off because whatever, right? You didn't see anyone like, bashing in a Gatorade cooler with their bat.
Right.
Or
only two people
like it.
I've seen. Justin Steele at the Milwaukee Brewers game where he's yelling in the dugout. And the second time was on Saturday when Pico Armstrong should have had that that sacrifice bunt into first base, but they had a good hand on him, and he took his helmet and he slammed it down, right? Because he wanted to move the ball, get on base. Like, that's showing some effort. I mean, the rest of the guys, it's like they're just there. It's like, hey, again, like you said, no fire. It's like, hey, okay, it's another game, another dollar, I guess. I don't know. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I will give Counsell credit for showing that emotion, albeit very subdued for what you would expect. I'm not asking for Lupinella over here, but I'm asking for Dusty Baker at least. A little bit of fire, a little bit of pissed. I'm pissed off about this, that, whatever. So, look, I don't know what to expect out of next year. It's we might be looking at more purgatory for the Cubs. But like I said, I mean, you sneak in next year somehow, chip in a chair and see what happens. But I don't see them, winning the division next year unless there's like a huge splash, Juan Soto, something like that, where they can kind of really make a big play for a hitter and another pitcher. And they absolutely need a closer. They need at least 2 bullpen arms that could be consistent towards the back end of that bullpen. You needed to bring in another starter, figure out what you're doing with Jameson Taillon. Let Hendricks become a coach. Do something, because he's toast. He's done. I love Hendricks. I love Hendricks, but he's toast. He's toast.
Now would you feel comfortable if he was a pitching coach?
I actually think Hendricks is a very, very smart baseball guy. I think he's very intelligent. I think he's well liked in the organization, in the dugout. I think with a lot of the young guys they have there, they're lucky to have them, especially when you talk about the Wicks and things like that. I think Justin Steele's kind of coming into his own. I think I think in the beginning of the season, we expected him to be the ace, but then he was injured on the very first game. And that should have just told you that was a bad omen immediately, right? You should have said, well, there goes that shit. But then they came out hot to start the first month of the season. And then it just kind of like, it just got colder and colder. And, it was just like, well, I don't know if they just had some false hope from doing well to start the season and thinking that they'd be able to pick it up at some point. But, yeah, I don't know.
Like last year was like a fun team to watch, and they were building momentum. I honestly, I don't know. Like it was fun, and then you carry that momentum into this season because it was like fun to watch. They were all growing together, and it was like, great moments, like 9th inning win games, and it's like, okay, it's great. And then this season, it started off hot, and then it just nothing exciting happened. You're just losing. You're getting under 500. You have injuries, all this like June, July. I would even say, but April, even end of April, June and July, where it's like you're losing series, you're winning, then you're losing. And that's how we're in the hole. And during summer, we're trying to get out of the hole. And like, we couldn't do that until towards the end of the season.
The reason why it was fun last year is because you had no expectations. You had no, you weren't expecting anything out of him. So it's like a catcher that can hit any hit you got out of him are gravy, right? This year, because you wanted them to take that next step forward, they brought in Counsell. You're like, oh, we stole him away from the Brewers, and what did they do? His old pitching coach or whoever the hell it was just came up and just kept the rig on the road. And, the way that the Cardinals are playing right now, the way that the Reds kind of petered out, the Pirates were hot at one point, they petered out, and the Cubs just really same thing. I mean, they just ran out of gas halfway through the season. They figured that, hey, maybe this is a hybrid and we'll have the backup. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, they're going to have to make a splash in the offseason if they really expect to contend. You got to put some more money in the team. And I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen, especially with the way that the Dodgers are right now. Are you going to sit there and fight tooth and nail and pay just out the nose, just hoping that you might compete with them? Or are you going to sit there and kind of have the Bulls versus LeBron effect where you just wait and hopefully that one day that they might peter out? But I mean, they've been very strong for the last 10 years now.
Yeah, I was watching the end of the Dodgers game against the Rockies where they were down 3 runs, and you had Shohei come up, and there was someone on base, and it's a 2-run blast in the bottom of the 9th, and then Mookie walks it off for another home run. I mean, that team is just built to win. They have 3 MVPs on that team. They spend they're the new Yankees, right? The Yankees of the 90s, where they're just going to outspend everybody and get everybody in through trades. And that's what they're doing. And that's fine and great. But they're 3 games above the San Diego Padres, just took on the White Sox, and we all know how that went. So they were happy to see the White Sox in front of 45, almost 46,000 at Petco Field. So it's very tough for the Cubs to compete with those kind of teams right now. I don't think they'll be in the Juan Soto sweepstakes.
No, I don't think so either.
You're going to have to go down 2 tiers to get yourself a big bat, and they really need somebody to be scary in that lineup if you're going to continue to have Bellinger in there, because he needs protection. So does Swanson needs protection. And then you have the rest of the guys that can, get on base, and that's how you start. You got to have those guys that get on base so you can move them over. But I don't see much change coming for the Chicago Cubs. And it's a tough division because the Cardinals are always good. The Brewers usually, phase out towards the end, but not this year. This year, they were able to overcome losing a manager, but having a veteran presence, like Ebrock said, he was his former coach. And, obviously he has all the experience because he was a minor league manager as well. So he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He just showed up his former, I guess, manager, right? Because he was under him.
Yeah. So to go back to Steven's point, Patrick Wisdom is this year he was $2.725 million. Next year is an arbitration year 2, so we don't even know what he's going to get paid. And then looking at next year's salary cap, we are already at $155 million with 9 players on the books.
So we're going to have to move other people, and then it's going to be, what do we have left?
You can move some players because you do have some youth coming up again. But then again, it's like, are we doing a half-ass rebuild or retool, or what are we doing with the Cubs? And that's the problem. Like Ebrock said, we're in purgatory. Where same thing with the Bulls. We don't know what we're doing. Are we moving forward or we're moving backwards? What are we doing here? So
we got Dansby Swanson at $28 million, Cody at $27.5, Ian Happ at $21, Saya Suzuki at $19, James Talion at $18, Shota at $13.25, Nico at $11.5, Smiley at $10, and Bodie at $7.
Well,
and David Bodie doesn't usually. He plays like once every 10 games.
Yeah, you can cut some of that fat off,
right?
25 to 30 million for yourself to spend, so that way you can spend up to 80.
I bet you any money Tachman's going to be the one who's going to get traded, even though he puts up, he comes up clutch when we need him. But that's trade value. I hate to see the guy go, but it is what it is.
Tachman is David Bodie. Let's be honest. They're
true. Yes, I see that as well. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is not a superstar. You got a serviceable player. You got a guy who will do well if he's surrounded by stars, right? But he's not. He can't be that guy that you have to rely on, right? And don't get me wrong. He's had some really nice moments for the Cubs, but I mean, you're talking about your 4th or 5th outfielder. He's a guy, he's just like Bodie, okay, is he going to play third? He's going to play. He's a guy. Good for him. I'm glad he's in the majors. I'm glad he's going to have. He's going to be one of these guys going to play for until he's almost 40, because any team is going to find the 39th or 40 the guy on the bench. You know what I mean? But since he was mentioned earlier, before we get to the White Sox, I want to talk about Shohei. Right, Shohei, the first ever member of the 50-50 club. 6 at-bats, 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 6 hits, 4 runs, 10 RBIs. The best offensive performance of all time. I think it was Colin Cowherd, who I'm sure we all love so much on this show. I will say I'll give him props on one thing, because before, when Shohei was starting to come into the majors, he says Shohei has the potential to be as good as Babe Ruth. Now, we all know that Babe Ruth was playing against plumbers and carpenters and all this crap, and Shohei obviously is not. And he said, Colin Cowherd came back and said, I apologize for ever comparing him to Babe Ruth. He's miles better. than Babe Ruth. And there's no way to dispute that. I can't say enough about what this guy has been able to do. We might be looking at the best player of all time when it's all said and done, because I see a Cy Young in his career. But I will say this. I will talk about a player. I don't know if he's banned, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. This is the 11th best season in Barry Bonds' career. Okay. The 11th best ever in Barry Bonds' career. But this one specific offensive performance in baseball has to be the best of all time. I'm sorry.
You know what? I do agree with you that, he is legit the best player right now, right? And he's going to be the best player of all time because he's going to go back to pitching and get another Cy Young. And he's going to have multiple MVPs and batting titles. And now he has 50-50. What I don't like is these old guys who tweet and try to diminish what he has accomplished. Barry Bonds. Oh, he's only have the best 11th best season. Jose Canseco, who we all love. He said I paved it by walking so he can run. I was like, Jose, shut up. Go shoot yourself up with some more steroids. There's no reason for you to try to make yourself relevant. Shohei's having the most phenomenal seasons.
Test him every day. I want to see P tests every day.
I'm pretty sure he does. So, yeah, again, I'm watching Dodger baseball, and I'll be watching that series starting Tuesday with the Padres. So that'll be must-see TV for me.
Are you going? Oh, once we transition, I'll ask the question, but go ahead.
Am I going to any White Sox game? I want to go tomorrow.
So did I.
Yeah, but I got bowling, and I have to go because that's
I wanted to go and celebrate.
Yeah. Oh, well, 100%. You do want to celebrate because you're going to hear everyone booing at the owner. They're going to talk shit. They're going to do everything possible to make themselves heard. And also you get to experience history. How many times do you get to experience history, whether it's good or bad? You're going there and experiencing history. They're going to break the record of the what year was that? 1962 Mets, who were an expansion team at that point. An expansion team. They're going to break that record with 6 games left.
It's just crazy because I feel like everyone is gonna like be so mad and throw stuff on the field. And
no, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna take it out on the players.
No, they're gonna go in the dugout and then they're just gonna
that's who the management put on the field. Just like we talked about Ryan Poles putting a crappy offensive line. This is the owner and this is the GM that the owner picked, who's a stooge, who then picked a manager that was a stooge. That's what he had. You have the 3 stooges there, yuck, and no one knows what the hell they're doing. All right. I'd rather watch the 3 Stooges marathon than watch
me too. Yeah.
Baseball. At least that is more funny because it's meant to be funny rather than you have the White Sox running into each other. It's really bad. And there is some glimmer of hope with our pitching, but they're going to trade away the best pitcher. And they're going to mess up all these this season during the trade deadline. Garrett Crochet is a stud. Dylan Cease, a stud. You could have had your 1 and 2 for years to come, and you could have gone to free agency, and you could have drafted well, which you usually do for pitching, and you buy your bats. You do the opposite of everything else because you cannot develop any bats since 1994.
Here's the thing, though. You talk about Crochet, you talk about Dylan Cease, right? What in the recent history of the Chicago White Sox makes you think that they would not just completely waste their talent?
Oh, they have Chris Sale, Carlos Rodon. Like, you can just name all of our stud pitchers that end up leaving through trades or free agency. They've wasted him.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, Chris Sale has a World Series ring, so
I agree. But like you said, a chip in the chair. If we have dominant pitching, 1 through 3, 1 through 4, we can do that. Especially we got Noah Schultz coming up, and the kid we drafted, Hagen Smith. That'd be 4 lefties.
But you still have to hit the ball, which you can't do.
Right.
And you
then you have to bite it.
Right. But here's the problem. Your highest paid player of all time is Andrew Benintendi. what in God's green earth makes you think that Jerry Reinsdorf, who hasn't been relevant in baseball for 30 years, is going to find a way to open up his pocketbook? And what do you think? He's going to sell so many $10 tickets?
He hasn't opened up his pocketbook in years.
$5 hot dogs, $5 beers, $10 tickets, $10 parking.
$10 tickets, $10 parking, $5 Miller and Modelo. Okay, $5 hot dogs are Polish, $5 pizzas, $5 nachos, Coke, and popcorn. Okay, let me tell you something. They're going to be in trouble in this series because there's going to be a lot of empty cups thrown into that field when you get these fans full of Modelo. It's going to happen.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you better hope they eat enough hot dogs to soak up that booze where they can't. They're like, oh, I got a cramp. I can't throw this cup onto the field.
Well, the funny thing to me is I literally just looked it up. They have $35.3 million committed to 2025. And the GM has already come out and said that they're basically not going to spend in free agency.
Well, they're going to have to because there's a floor. There's a floor now.
Yeah, I mean, like you only have $35 million on the books, and you're already saying we're going to play the young guys. What?
Oh yeah. Again,
like,
we have the Three Stooges running that organization right now, and definitely will have to spend because MLB will not allow them to have a $35 million payroll. But our pitching is going to be pretty good with the young kids, and I know they're going to trade Crochet, and they're going to trade Luis Robert. There's no reason of having a good player be soured like Jose Abreu every freaking night. He's sitting down at the top step, just disappointed. Like, what the hell is going on with these guys here? It's bad. It's super bad. You know, right now the only glimmer right now is that they're keeping all the good kids that they've drafted. They're coming up together. The Birmingham Barons are in the championship series. They won game 1. And they're playing the Montgomery Biscuits, and I wish I had a feed to get to that to watch those games, because that's probably the only most exciting thing that the White Sox are doing is these young kids playing. So right now, there's not much to say about this team that's already dead, and I don't want to keep beating this dead horse and giving them airtime.
No, I got some stuff I want to talk about on what you're watching.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely we'll get into that. Go ahead, E.
Before we do that, real quick,
yeah.
I want to give a shout out to NBC Sports Chicago. They started in 2004, Comcast Sportsnet Chicago. We all watched them because all the teams were on there, and they're going to shut down on September 30th next Monday. No more, after 20 years. So I think about way back when you had Sports Channel on Prime Cable and all that stuff, and Cap being on Comcast Sportsnet for years, and all the Bulls games and everything that we've watched on that network for years. Thank you for everything that everything that we've seen on that network. It's a shame, I would say, to see a network like that, our own Chicago Sports Network go down. There's the new one that's coming up. I don't even remember. It's called like CSN, Chicago Sports Network, literally. And that's where they're going to have all the Bulls, the Blackhawks, and the Sox games in the future. Now that Cubs have Marquee. But I just want to give them a shout out for all the years, all the post game, pre-game, the fun, Jason Goff and Cap, and our guy Ozzy and everybody that's kind of been through there. Hopefully the new network is just as cool and as progressive as this network has, because they've done a really good job of bringing back former Chicago athletes, the way they did the football post game, the after show with the was it 05 Bears, Lance Briggs and Alex Brown and all the guys there. So it's a sad day when you think about Chicago sports if you've been watching it for this long, but big ups to them, and like I said, I hope the new network is just as great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's what we grew up on, watching all these guys. Will Perdue and got Stacey King on there when he first started before he became a commentator. Jason Goff, who was not going to go onto the new network. He already announced that. Tons of people have grown up and actually made it to the big time. So I really appreciate everything that I learned from them, from watching them, and we're doing this because we learned from them. even though we may not think it, we learned a lot from them, and it's sad to see one of those major networks go down. So shout out to everybody, and we'll take a quick break right now, and we'll be right back with what you watching. We'll do that after a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15. TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
What up? It's Martin Moreno, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast.
Welcome back to the TCSF podcast with Big Z, JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football, E-Rock, and Stevie B from the No Water in the Weekend podcast. And it's time to talk about what you watching that isn't sports. So, E-Rock, you are the avid TV watcher because you stay up all night in your couch and fall asleep for episode 1 and then never go back to a show. So, what are you watching?
The one show that I actually watch on a consistent basis, and it is very embarrassing, I've talked about it on this show before, is The Circle, this corny ass reality TV show where people are locked in these apartments and they can only speak through text. And it's dumb as shit. They wrote me in again for season 7, so here I am watching this bullshit.
That's funny.
My name is E-Rock, and I watch The Circle.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's so stupid and petty and bullshit and backstabbing, and it's the one. I don't know, man. For whatever
trash
reason,
TV. Yeah, I get it.
It is trash, man.
It's your Jersey Shore.
The other thing I did watch, of course, Dinner Time Live with David Chang. If you guys ever watched that, they are live here in Chicago. I think it comes on at 6. They film on the West Coast. I'm sorry. I love this show. They announced they had 27 episodes this season. They announced that they are renewed for a second season, which is coming up on October 8th, which is awesome because I just go back and watch it later on. But everything is filmed live and get to see. I'm a big foodie cooking guy, so seeing that show is awesome. So I'm really glad that he's got another season coming up. And lastly, Deon Cole, Chicago very own Deon Cole, comedian. He has a brand new Netflix special called Okay Mister. It's great. He has some of the best timing, I think, especially for a comedian who's known but not super well known. He is currently known for his Old Spice commercials, where his girlfriend is always trying to take his nice smelling Old Spice. So that's where you will recognize him from if you're not familiar with him. But his timing, where he just throws out the joke and then lets it sit in the air and looks around for a while, I absolutely love it. I think he's hilarious. So if you're a fan of comedy, definitely check that out. And then if you're a foodie or someone who just likes to cook, check out Dinner Time Live. And if you're a fucking weirdo like me, go check out The Circle.
Nice. Those are great picks.
Go ahead, Stevie.
All right. So last week, Thursday, I saw Transformers 1 in theaters. It is out right now. I got all 4 posters and I got some keychains for free there.
Thanks.
Which is also really cool. That movie is really good. Like, I had a lot of bad.
Didn't it get a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes, or like a 98 or something?
Well, there was people who were giving it like bad reviews and bashing it. I'm like, what are you talking about? This, like, I get the whole Chris Hemsworth, his voice is Optimus Prime, but it's not terrible. It's not like, you kind of hear where it has that robotic kind of thing to it a little bit, but it's the story of how Megatron and Optimus met, but they're not called that. It's like M180 or B is like B1 something, right? The movie's great. The story's fun. They crammed everything in, but it's a good flowing kind of movie. Like you get the outcome of how they just aren't together anymore. They're not best friends.
Yeah,
and you get that whole flashback.
Yeah, I heard it's really good. I heard it's a lot of good reviews on it.
I would go see it again. I think it's awesome. I was telling Sean that like I want to go see it again. It is really good, and he said it looks really good. And last night we watched The Penguin on HBO or on Max. I'm sorry, and it's awesome. It's great. It's reminds me a lot of The Sopranos, but a little bit darker.
Yeah. So I did watch it today during my lunch because I was not having a good day, and I was like, I need to disconnect, and I watched The Penguin, and it's a little bit over an hour for the first episode, which is phenomenal, and it's kind of not an origin story, but kind of his coming up story where you see him because it picks up like a week after the movie. That's where it's at, where you know, the whole city's in disarray after the flood. And you know, there's a power vacuum, and it is very Soprano-y. And there's some scenes where he sounded like Tony Soprano, and his mannerisms and his facial expressions were very Tony Soprano like. And it's just so weird to hear him as a penguin, Colin Farrell, and then hear him afterwards in the post show where they just break everything down, and his real voice. I mean, it's a true testament to being a phenomenal actor. It literally is like watching a whole movie.
No, absolutely. It went by
great. Yes.
Yeah. I was waiting for him to be like, where's the ZD? You know? That's shout out for E-Rock for that one because he made ZD that one time. Yeah. So, but no, again, I liked it. This past weekend was also Batman Day. Happy birthday to Batman, which was awesome. And that was Saturday, and I was with JC, and JC could tell the story and how we both got attacked by a woman at the show that we're at. But I'll let him explain that if he wants to talk about it. But yeah.
All right, JC, take it away. Want to hear this one?
I have a whole laundry list of things I'm going to watch, but I really didn't watch anything because me and Stevie went and watched.
I don't know.
Something corporate.
Something corporate.
Something corporate. It's a California punk emo band. They have not played together in 20 something years. Basically, the band broke up when they were about 22, 23 years old. They were making it big in the scene. The lead singer, Andrew McMahon, has gone on to have some smash hits with two other bands that he has created since. One of which is a song called Cecilia and the Satellite, which was the theme song for the World Cup 2 or 3 years ago. When that happened, it was the big anthem song for the World Cup. So a lot of people don't know his newer stuff, but he's been around for, I think he said at the show he's 42 now, but like I said, he's been in a band since he was like 19 years old, 18 years old. I think him and the guitarist said they formed the band at 13, Steven?
Yeah, just about. They were in their mom's kitchen or living room and just jamming out.
Yeah,
which was awesome.
It was a great show. The audio was perfect. I mean, it wasn't like pumped up to where your ears were, killing you the next day. Audio was awesome. His vocals were awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got attacked by someone. I don't know who the hell it was. It was a smaller female decided that we were about 3 rows off of the barricade.
Or even closer. I would say before Angie, there was one more person. That was it.
Yeah.
Were you standing?
Yeah, it was standing. Yeah.
Standing GA. And it was like literally the barricade, one person. Then it was Angie and this girl we met in line. And then it was me and Steven behind them. So, and we were pretty loose up there in the front. We had given ourselves some space that we can, move around. But some girl behind me decided to start like bouncing into me and like basically trying to get through. And sweetie, I'm sorry. I'm like 200 and whatever. And like, you're not getting through me.
Yeah.
So and then she like tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Oh, come on!" And I'm like, I literally just turned my head and was like, "Get off me!" And then I never heard from her for the rest of the show.
And then she, after that happened, she bounces to me, and I think we weren't moving or jumping up and down like everyone kind of was. Like we were moving, but not like putting our hands up like all crazy. And all of a sudden, like she's grabbing my arm, and she has her chest in between my arm, and I'm like, what is going on? And I look at her once, and then when she's bouncing and doing that, I'm not even paying attention. And then 10 minutes later, she leaves after that, and then someone had threw up in the floor, and I was telling JC, I'm like, I bet you it was her jumping up up and down. She was intoxicated, and that's what happened. So, but yeah, other than that, the concert was great. We got out of there at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
It started at 10. But then the first band went at 11, and then after that it was like 12, and then that set lineup was so long.
The show ended about 1:45.
Really? It felt a lot later because we weren't drinking. We were all the way in front. There's no way we're gonna go back there.
Yeah, it was. Once we were standing where we were standing, it was like, I guess we're going drinkless. Because like we're not about to leave and like end up in the back,
right?
But Angie ended up catching the set list from the guitarist for something corporate.
Mm-hmm.
They were, the band. Now the new thing is like when somebody puked in the crowd, like the whole crowd like dispersed, like it was the Red Sea. And the band, obviously anytime there's something going on in the crowd now, they try and stop everything and ask what's going on. And, so they started throwing towels from the stage out into the crowd for like people to clean up or at least lay on top of, where this person had thrown up. And they threw me a towel. I caught it. And like, I turned to throw to someone like that was like near the vomit, and nobody was paying attention. And I'm like, all right, cool. I got a towel from the band now.
Yeah. And I'm like this guy. But yeah, no, it was a great time. We had fun, and we got matching tees. We're going to get the new t-shirt on Saturday when we go to Dashboard Professional and
Dashboard Confessional. Yeah.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. I said professional. It's Confessional. Yes.
Going to see them at the Aragon on Saturday.
Yep.
But
matching tees for Monday.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out the was it Terminator Zero TV show. I want to check that out. Agatha came out. I watched those 2 episodes today while waiting for some construction guys to stop by my house. I was like, well, I'm waiting and I got nothing else to do. So I watched the first 2 episodes of Agatha. And The Old Man.
That's supposed to be really good.
I think it's TBS or TNT or I don't know.
I thought it was FX.
It might be FX.
FX. Yeah.
But started watching the first or second episode of that. I watched all of season 1. I thought it was a great show. We'll see where season 2 goes. So far, I like the episodes. We'll see where it goes. But like I said, I definitely want to check out the Transformer stuff because I'm definitely like, that's the one thing is like, all the movies are great, but it's like, yeah, I really kind of want that backstory of like what happened and how it all became, Decepticons versus, everybody else, So
yeah, it's interesting, and I'll just leave it at that. So go see it if you can, and then we could talk more about it next week or whenever.
We'll talk about it on Saturday.
Oh yeah, that too.
Over some tacos.
There you go.
I want to give one more shout out real quick because Z, I know I want to hear what you've been watching, but Lamorne Morris, if you guys don't know who that is, he's the one in the Bebo commercials. He was on New Girl. He won an Emmy for outstanding, I think, guest performer. Supporting actor in a limited anthology series, blah blah blah, for Fargo. Chicago guy again. He went to like College of Lake County. Super dope to see him his journey from New Girl to being the BMO spokesperson that slides in on that desk and saves you some money, and then see him win an Emmy for his performance. So I just want to give one more shout out to another Chicago guy.
Nice, that's awesome. I have not watched Fargo, and that's probably one of mine. It's on far down on the list, but I do want to watch that.
It's on the list, yeah.
It's on the list. I did watch Agatha, and I feel like I need to rewatch a WandaVision because I feel like I missed out on a bunch of you know,
Right,
Easter
right.
eggs and stuff like that Disney always does. So I'm gonna rewatch WandaVision and then rewatch Agatha. Tulsa King is on the new season, episode 2. That was really, really good. If you have not seen it, there's a bunch of actors besides Sylvester Stallone. It is a Tyler Sheridan Productions. If you don't know who he is, he's the guy who made Yellowstone and what's the other one with Jeremy Renner? King of
Lordstown?
Kingstown. No, whatever. Yeah, Kingstown. Mayor of Kingstown. That's what it is. Yeah, so definitely check that out. And then what was the other thing, Steven? Oh, the Penguin. Yeah,
right.
Definitely. Oh my God, it felt like another movie. And Matt Reeves did produce in it, but he did not write the story or direct it. I forgot the name of the director. It's a female director. She did a phenomenal job. She wrote it, directed it, and produced it and all that. So it was phenomenal. Go watch The Penguin. That is going to win some awards just because it's so good story wise. And I think new season of Jersey Shore's on, so that's my guilty conscience movie.
Mine's the Golden Age Bachelorette with that older blonde lady. That's mine right now. No, I'm kidding. I saw it. I was like, no, thanks. Only if she's paying for things, I'll be on the show. But no.
But yeah, it was I'm trying to catch up on things just because my schedule is going to get really busy starting on Wednesday. I'm going to be helping out some youth with a podcast after school program. So I'm going to help out the youth.
Are they going to be part of 606 Media?
No.
There you go. I need you to edit this episode, and I need you to do this for me. And here's also Noah on the weekend. If he swears, don't bleep it out. It's just who he is. If he's mumbling, it's just him. So yeah, no, that's funny.
Like, yeah, listen to Noah on the weekend. Don't do none of that.
There's no labor laws if you don't get paid. Okay, this is volunteer work.
Yeah, so that's what I'll be doing for the rest of I'm kind of be like E-Rock. I'm going to be helping the youth, so it's going to be rewarding. It's going to be something, it's a passion, so it'll be fun. So all right,
speaking of things we're going to do, I'm going to read this. I'm going to go ahead. I just
I thought something else.
Yeah, because we're talking about Conseco today, I think I'm finally going to read this. It's been sitting on my shelf. This was sitting on my shelf longer than it took Mike Logic to read the Jordan rules that sat in my house for all them years. I actually read Game of Shadows, but I think I may actually no, I'm not going to read this.
And have the audio book while you're reading it too, because I know English and reading and
yeah, I would love to hear.
What did you say?
Go ahead.
No, we didn't hear you, Mike.
Yeah, what are you going to say? Go ahead.
I think he was saying ESL, second language learning.
Listen, we're talking about a kid who watches children's programming with the captions on. Okay, don't worry about me.
I like captions because I have a hard time. Okay, I told you not to bring it up on air. No, I'm just teasing you. You know that. So, captions for many good reasons, but yeah.
I will say
audio shows that needed captions.
Audiobooks are definitely legit.
Right.
If it's read by the author.
Yeah. I'll try that after I listen to all the podcasts I listen to. All right, boys. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Ivan from The Tape Never Lies. He's also part of 606 Media with Ivan After Dark. No, that's a different podcast. I give him shit all the time. I call his show Ivan After Dark. Local Sports Tonight with Ivan is the name of his show. And he's also on the TTNL network with a bunch of the cool dudes over there. Thank you, E-Rock, for showing up. I know he's got that dad softball schedule, and he was in all over the place this weekend. And I saw that triple that she hit. She did awesome on that one.
That was a nice hit. Wakanda and Keegan this weekend. And last weekend it was Indianapolis.
Yeah. So you're all over the place. JC, thanks for jumping in, and Steve B, as usual, jumping in, man. Our fans, thank you for listening. I know Israel is one of our top tier listeners, joining us every week. Thank you, Israel, for stopping in. Thank you to our sponsor, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. You know what to do at gritclothingco.com. Go get your shirts. Yeah, I got my throwback on today. It's oldie.
It's nice.
Yeah, it still fits. I'm just happy about that. If you got a stirring pot topic, or you want to talk to a specific sports topic, or you just want to hit us up, or you want to sponsor the show, hit us up at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. It's been a good one. It's a really, really good show, and I hope you guys come back next week. So hit that subscribe button. All right, for E-Rock, JC, Stevie B, I am Big Z. We'll see you next time for episode 214. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.
Swish.